So The Matrix Reloaded is always really overlooked and is so much better than people give it credit for. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing The Matrix Reloaded, which is a really worthy sequel from the first movie, which was just absolutely unbelievable. And actually this movie is really enjoyable, so much better than the other sequels in terms of the third one and the fourth one. And it really does live up to the high production values set in the first movie, and in some ways is able to be a little bit stronger from a visuals perspective and really does continue the narrative set in the first movie really well, even if the Zion scenes are a little bit dull. But that being said, we are going to be breaking everything down with The Matrix Reloaded for you in this movie review. So 6 months have passed since the end of the first movie, and we go with the gang to a new location called Zion, which is the final location of human civilization. And we also see that the Smith character is multiplying into loads of different people and is also entering into the real world, which is just so game-changing, and you really see the consequences of this taking place in the third film. We are also going back into the Matrix with the main key players as they are all trying to reach the source so that Neo is able to save mankind once and for all. We also find out about a new character called the Keymaker that is going to be really pivotal in helping them do this. So the film then explores if the gang are going to be successful in doing all of this, especially with the Neo character having visions of the Trinity character dying if she is able to help them in the Matrix. So loads of different dilemmas taking place in this movie. Now from a positive point of view, Neo is absolutely bossing it and absolutely killing it in the Matrix. I absolutely love all of the Superman aspects that he has in the Matrix. I know that often gets really criticized in terms of why is he suddenly having all of these Superman type powers, but I think it looks really cool, and I feel like they explained it relatively well, as obviously Neo, firstly he's the one, and he's also able to play with the Matrix code to be able to allow him to do all of this really cool stuff. Also the Keymaker, I thought this character conceptually was really interesting, and they also used his ability, especially on the highway, really effectively. Another thing they did really effectively was balancing all of the philosophical aspects with this movie along with all of the really cool sci-fi aspects in this movie. I feel like all of that was happening really well. Also, I really like the Architect as a character in terms of being a machine person that has created all of this, and the way in which he plays off with the Oracle character I thought was really cool, especially in the closing moments of Matrix Revolutions. And I just feel like Neo's story is so great in this movie, especially firstly, like I said, it continues it from the first movie, and he's just such a wicked character, and I just feel like he's able to carry this movie really well. However, from a negative point of view, like I alluded to before, the Zion scenes are a little bit dull and really dragged on, and really when you're watching them you just want to go straight into the Matrix, as there really is a real shift in pace and enjoyment when you're in that location. It also does feel a little bit like Star Wars from a Zion perspective, which really came into its own in the third Revolutions movie. And also I feel like they really do overdo Neo being this big savior type character. Although that being said, what I did like is that different characters view Neo in a very different way, which I thought was really interesting. But ultimately I just feel like the storyline wasn't as awesome or as colossal as it was in the first movie. But that being said, from a comparisons point of view in terms of all of the other sequels, I definitely feel like Reloaded is actually really strong. So like I said in my first Matrix review, the cast and characters in the entire Matrix suite of movies are absolutely wicked and brilliantly first led by Keanu Reeves, who just does such a good job as the Neo/Thomas Anderson character. And I just feel, like I said before, he carries this movie so well. I love how they totally upped all of the action sequences and really did give him a lot of heart in this movie as well, especially in his relationship with the Trinity character. And he's just so cool, especially when he's just bossing it, like I said before, as the Superman aspects of this character really came into its own. Even though they did overdo some of the savior aspects of this character, regardless, he's still able to carry this movie so well and is just such a cool character. Played brilliantly by Keanu Reeves. Next up we have Carrie-Anne Moss, brilliantly also returning as the Trinity character. Really cool. I love now that her and Neo are an official couple, and that actually the stakes are so much higher from a couple's point of view, as obviously Neo is foreshadowing the fact that she is actually going to die. So that is always a really big shadow, not only over their relationship, but also from this character's point of view. But that being said, she is still absolutely badass in all of her action sequences and is able to really show that she is a real experienced expert. From that perspective, we also have Laurence Fishburne, who is returning as the Morpheus character, who has even more action sequences than he had in the first film. I mean, that highway chase sequence in particular and battling the twins was just so cool with the Morpheus character, and he really is believing that Neo really is the one and is going to be able to save all of them. And even though Neo is the one, I feel like they all respect the fact that Morpheus really is the leader, not only of the Nebuchadnezzar but also of the Rebels group, which I think is done really, really well. Next up we have Hugo Weaving, who is so cool as the Agent Smith character. I feel like in the first movie, they really were developing this villainous character, and I feel like across the second and the third movie, and somewhat the fourth movie as well, they really do develop the Agent Smith character really brilliantly. And I love, like I said before in the first movie review, all of the yin and yang type relationship that Neo and Agent Smith have, so brilliant. And Agent Smith is just so full of rage and just wants to destroy the virtual world and the real world. So really is a threat to both of these places. And the scenes of him just multiplying and multiplying and multiplying and really battling Neo, and Neo still being triumphant across all of that, despite the fact that there are hundreds of Agent Smiths, just really did show how powerful the Neo character really is. Lambert Wilson was really, really cool as the Parisian Merovingian, really, really rich leader, and really is all about cause and effect. And I thought these lessons are really, really great in terms of every single action will always have a reaction and a consequence. I feel like conceptually all of the messages that this character was portraying was really, really cool. I would have loved it if he was directly in some of the action sequences, but all of his men are always in these action sequences instead. And especially those two twin characters, absolutely brutal and super, super wicked sequences with these characters. And also the Merovingian is the Keymaker's boss. And like I said, the Keymaker, all of the aspects with that character were really, really wicked. We also have Gloria Foster returning as the Oracle. And we find out that actually the Oracle is a bit of a machine program herself that is trying really, really hard to prevent herself being deleted. And once again, I absolutely loved all of the messages that the Oracle character was giving and the lessons that she was teaching as well. So for example, you can't see past the decisions that you don't understand. And also the relationship that she has with the Architect in terms of freedom and hope always being in contrast with one another. So from a cast and characters point of view, I honestly feel like Matrix Reloaded is actually really, really impressive. So from a visuals point of view, whilst the first movie was absolutely extraordinary, I do feel like Reloaded does a really, really good job in terms of matching it from a visuals perspective. And there are some wicked sequences in the Matrix in this movie. So first of all, we have multiple Agent Smiths. God, that fight with all of them against the Neo character was just an absolute cinematic masterpiece. So, so cool. I mean, even still to this day, despite the fact that this movie was released quite a long time ago, still stands up. And I feel like it was just such a wicked sequence, which ended with the Neo character flying away. And like I said, I loved all of the Superman aspects actually of the Neo character. I feel like they used them really, really well. And this character just was even more elevated, quite literally, than the first movie. And I feel like that aspect was really, really wicked. The highway battle with mainly Trinity and with Morpheus, I thought was absolutely extraordinary. I mean, since this movie, loads of other films have tried to have really, really wicked high-paced, high-octane sequences on the highway, but I have to say, Reloaded just did it so brilliantly, especially with all of the sci-fi aspects, with all of the Smith characters just after all of them. We have the Keymaker in this situation as well. We also have the twins that are after all of these characters as well, and then Niobe joins this as well. I just feel like that highway battle was just absolutely extraordinary. And then before the highway battle, and speaking of the twins, the battle sequence that Trinity and Morpheus had against the twins that are able to have these magical ability where they're just able to disappear and go through people, I just feel like they used that aspect within the parking lot really, really well. Like I said, the Keymaker, all of his abilities really, really helpful on the highway sequence as well. And before the highway sequence happened as well, we also had Neo fighting all of the Merovingians' men in that palace space using loads of different weapons, which was just wicked too. And then we had all of the pure Matrix sequences as well. For example, Neo running to try to get to the source, meeting the Architect, literally everything from a visuals perspective really was spectacle gold. So from a comparisons point of view, even though I really enjoyed Reloaded, I don't think it's as good as the first Matrix movie, which like I said, really is in another league of its own. But that being said, I do think Reloaded is a lot stronger actually than Revolutions and Resurrections, and I would say it's a little bit similar to Terminator, Ready Player One, Arrival, and Inception. So So overall, whilst Matrix Reloaded isn't as epic as the first movie and has got a little bit of a slow start, despite that, I think there's still so much enjoyment to be had in this movie. Like I said, a true cinematic spectacle gold in this film, as visually, there are so many awesome sequences taking place in this film, and I do actually think it still holds up today. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a massive 7.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of Matrix Reloaded, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.